5.3, write linear equations in point-slope form. So we've written equations where they have given us the slope and basically either the y-intercept or they've given us where x is 0, so we used y that way. Yesterday we did it by finding slope and then finding what b is by plugging in one of the points to y equals mx plus b and solving to get our equation. This one is probably my favorite one, point slope form, and the one that we use all the way through. We use it all the time in pre-cal, calculus, all of that. This is probably like one of the more useful ones. So point slope form is, let's see, how do I want to do this? Point slope, whoa. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So sometimes you'll have to find the slope first, or sometimes they'll give you just a slope and a point and we'll do it that way. There's different ways that we can do it. But basically we're just plugging in the y and the x that do not have the little subscript of 1 are always just y and x. The only stuff that's changing are the y1 and the x1. That's where that point is getting plugged into. So this is when you're given, or you can find, an x1 and a y1 and a slope, basically. So, for example, if they give us the point -1, 4 and a slope of -2, and they tell us to write the point slope form, then what we do is we have y minus y1 is 4 equals m, which is -2, times x minus x1 is -1, so I'm going to do it this way so that we see it visually. But minus a negative ends up being positive, so I would end up writing this as y minus 4 equals -2 times x plus 1. And that would be how you leave your answer. Now, if they give us 2 points instead and want us to do this, so if they give us something like the point 2, 3 and 4, 4, then the first thing that we need to do is find slope. What's my slope formula? M equals what?
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Yep. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to find slope first. So that's going to give me 4 minus 3 over 4 minus 2. So I end up with a slope of 1/2. Now, I can use either of the 2 points that are given, okay? But your answers are going to be different when left in point slope form. However, I can take the problem farther and put it into slope-intercept form, and they will be exactly the same line. So I'm going to show you that also. But we can use either point when we're doing this. I'm going to do them in order, so I'm going to do the first one, then I'll do the second one. So we have y minus y1 is 3 equals m, which is 1/2, times x minus x1, which is 2. And this would be one of your equations, that would work. That's when using point 1. Okay? If I want to use the other point, then I would have y minus 4 equals 1/2 times x minus 4. Now, those look like two different lines, correct? Like, those don't look like they're the same thing. But if I were to get y by itself and solve this out to slope-intercept form to get it in y equals mx plus b, they are going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to show you that because that'll be something that's coming later in the chapter. But if I do this, I'm going to distribute this over here first. So y minus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 1/2 times 2 would be -1. Then I'm going to add this 3 over. So y equals 1/2 x plus 2. So that's the slope-intercept form of this same line here. This one was point slope, just for the visual. Then down here, if I do the same thing with this other one, I'm going to distribute first. So I have y minus 4 equals 1/2 x minus 2. Then add this 4 over. Y equals 1/2 x plus 2. And if you look, exact same line. So it doesn't matter which point we use in point slope. I will take your answer regardless of which one you choose. But both of them will lead you to the same final answer if you went to graph these equations. Because some of them are going to ask us to graph, so we're going to change them into slope-intercept form to be able to graph them.
Do we only need to change the ones to slope-intercept form that we need to graph, or do we have to do all?
If it tells you that like you need it in slope-intercept form, then you would need to do that. But most of like this section, I think it tells you just to leave them in point-slope form. So I just like to go ahead and show you that so that you kind of know like where we're headed and stuff like that. Because most books don't want you to leave things in point slope form, even though it's totally acceptable. It's weird, but all right. Getting into problems. Write the equation. Write an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through the given point and has the given slope. So, number 4. We have the point 3, 5 and a slope of -1. So while we're getting used to point slope form, I'm going to write it pretty much every time. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 is my formula. So remember, the ones that have the little subscript of 1 is where I'm putting in the xy points from here, and then slope obviously is getting put in. So this is going to give me y minus 5 equals -1 times x minus 3. And that's your answer right there in point slope form. Six. 5, -1, and m equals -2. So, point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So, what am I plugging in here?
Y minus, or y plus 1 is
Yep.
a negative.
Yep, because minus and negative will be plus. Yep.
And then -2 times x minus 5.
Yep. And that would be your equation of your line right there. Eight. -6, 6, and m equals 3/2. All right. With letters, what's point slope form?
Y minus y
equals m, and then x times x1.
So m times x minus x1. All right, so we plug in y minus 6 equals 3/2 times x. It's minus a negative, so it'll be plus, and that's a 6. All right, 10. I've got -3, -9, and slope is 7/3. So without having the formula here, how would I write this?
Y plus 9.
Did you say y plus 9?
Yeah.
Yep, because it'd be minus a negative, so that's plus. Good.
Equals 7/3 times x plus 3.
Yep, minus a negative, so that becomes plus. Right there. All right, any questions on these ones where they're giving us a slope in 1 point?
Nope, no.
All right, a couple graphing ones like this, and then we'll move into the ones where they're giving us 2 points, and we're doing it that way. So 14, y minus 5 equals 3 times x minus 1. So I need to get ultimately y by itself. So first I'm going to distribute on the right. So I have y minus 5 equals 3x minus 3. I add the 5, so I get y equals 3x plus 2. And now I can graph that. Set up my graph over here. All right, so what's my y-intercept? 2. And slope?
3.
So I go up 3, right 1. I'm going to run out of graph space, so I can also go down 3 and back 1. And connect it. And there's your graph. What?
It's easy.
So once you get y by itself, just like normal. (16) So another graphing one. Y minus 1 equals 3 times x plus 6. So distribute. Y minus 1 equals 3x plus 18. Add the 1. Y equals 3x plus 19. So now, this one is pretty big, right? Like 19 is a pretty big number. So I think I'm going to count by 3s on my y-axis, okay? Because I'm trying not to make my graph so large. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. So I'm just going to show that I'm counting by 3s there. And because I'm doing that on that axis, I'm going to make sure that I show on my x-axis that I'm counting by 1s, just so that it's not confusing. So my y-intercept is 19. So if I'm counting by 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, obviously it's not going to be exactly on a line, so I'm going to be a little bit above it. Then I'm counting, my slope is 3. I'm counting by 3, so I basically just need to go to the exact same spot above, so it'll be at 22, and then over 1. And then I can go up to 25 and over 1. And then I've got it. So obviously a large graph, but that's okay. I can make it work just like that. Any questions on these ones? Hoping we're feeling better about graphing overall. All right, then the last ones are problems where they're giving us 2 points. So we need to find the slope and then put it in point slope form. And then that's all for this section. So 24, I've got 6 and -2 and 12, 1. So how do I find slope? Should be experts at finding slope by this point.
M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Yep. So what am I plugging in number wise?
1 plus 2
Yep, minus a negative, so plus, good.
over 12 minus 6.
Yep. When I do that, I get 3 over 6, or 1/2. So my slope is 1/2. Now, does it matter which point I choose? Good answer. It does not. Which one do y'all want to use, 1 or 2?
2.
All right, let's use 2. So we're using this one. All right, what's point slope form with letters?
Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
Good. I want y'all to be so good. You're like saying it in your sleep.
I've got it written down.
Hey, that works for now until you have the quiz. You can have it written down. All right, so now I need to plug in the numbers. So tell me what to plug in.
Y minus 1 equals 1/2 times x minus 12.
Yep. There's your equation. Nice and easy.
Short.
26, the point 4, 5. I promise we're almost done. Stay with me for a couple more minutes. And the point -4, -5. All right, so tell me, you don't have to give me letters, but tell me for slope, what am I putting in? M equals what?
-5 minus 5. And then -4 minus 4.
Yep. So I get -10 over -8, which reduces to
Positive 5
Competitive 5 over 4.
5 over 4. Negatives cancel, and I can take a 2 out of everything. Which point do y'all want to use this time? First or second?
We can go.
Let's do the
First one? All right, so tell me what to write then for point slope form. You can just do it with numbers. You don't have to do it with letters this time.
Y minus
Well, plus. Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
y minus 5.
Yeah, it is.
1 minus
Oh, yeah,
5.
we're doing the first
Y minus 5. If you are not answering my question, you should not be talking.
Equals 5 over 4.
times x minus 4.
Yep. Y minus 5 equals 5 over 4 times x minus 4. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right, last one. I want you to try it on your own. You can choose either point to write your equation. I'll write both so that we can check and make sure that we got it under control. 28 is -5, -19, and then 5, 13. So find your slope and then write your equation using either point. I don't care which one you use. Did anybody use the first point?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we get if we use the first point?
Oh.
Y equals negative 19 equals 11/5 times x minus -5.
Wait, is that right? What? I don't think that's right. Well, it's for the first one.
Oh wait, hold on, yeah.
Okay, who used the second one?
No, the second
I
one.
was trying
Okay, if you use the second one, what did we get?
Y minus 13 equals 16/5. X minus 5.
Okay. So that one, second one was right. The first one is y plus 19 because it's minus a negative, so it's plus equals 16/5 times x minus a negative, so it's plus 5. So either of these two answers on a quiz or test would work. Okay. So we've done now slope-intercept form writing equations. Well, we've done that two different ways, whether they give us the intercept or they don't, and we have to find it. We've done point slope form. Tomorrow we're going to do standard form, which is the final one, which if you can do these other two forms, standard form's a piece of cake. Standard form will look like intercept form from when we were graphing. So where your x and y will be on the same side. So problems then are 3 through 11 odd, 15, 17, and then 23, 25, and 27. All right, now it's Wednesday, but if y'all are goofing off like you have been the last 2 days, I'm going to make you turn this in at the end of class. So do not goof off. Use your time wisely. It is not due till Friday because it's Wednesday, but if you're goofing off, I will make you turn it in before you leave today. Yes. Yes.